بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, mashallah, to our journey through the Hikam of Imam Ibn Ata al-Iskandari. Let's quickly review what we've gone through so far. So the first Hikam talked about trusting on our deeds in a bad way. What's the sign of that? That we lose our bearings when tests come. The second was talking about emergent religiosity, where I want to pull away from things or I want to take in things, intake, outtake. And if that's not with God, then that could either mask a hidden desire or it could cause me to fall from a noble station in my life. The third thing that we talked about was that my passionate aspirations are not going to pierce the divine measurement, the aqdar, which Allah has granted me. And then the fifth we talked about is give ourselves a break. Be careful of anxiety. So being careful of, I know this is right. This has to be right. That's one thing that can cause us to fall away. And that's the internal reliance, i'timad ala nafsi. And the second part of that, which is the fifth hikam, is the opposite, right? Is being destroyed by aspirations that didn't materialize in my life. And so I think about it and it causes me depression and I become incapable of functioning to the point that I lose hope in Allah. So one is I didn't get what I wanted before it happened and I lose hope in Allah. Number two is when I look back on it and I say, oh man, I really wanted that to happen. Why did this happen? Or something bad happened to me and it causes me to question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way that leads to losing hope in him. This takes us now to the sixth hikam, and this one, oh man, this one is no joke because this one is about priorities. What are our priorities? What are your priorities? If I say I want the hereafter, there'll be priorities that align with that. If I want the dunya, there's priorities that align with that. So the Shaykh, he says, اجتهادك فيما ضمن لك. You exerting all your effort for what has been guaranteed for you. وتقصيرك فيما طلب منك. While you are having shortcomings, you are failing in performing what was commanded of you. دليل على انطماس البصيرة منك is a sign of your blindness or short-sightedness. And what he means is, if you and I are claiming to live for the hereafter, then the vision of our heart, وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَلْ قُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ, is directed toward the hereafter. But if I'm not working for the hereafter, then that's a sign I'm either short-sighted, I find hereafter in the dunya, or I'm blind, I can't see the hereafter. I'm out of focus. So one of the lessons of this hikam is priorities and balance. Priorities and balance. So the Shaykh, he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, اجتهادك فيما ضمن لك. You exerting all your effort for what's been guaranteed for you. What he means is your rizq, your provisions. Allah says in the Quran after أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما من دابة في الأرض إلا على الله رزقها, that there's nothing that walks on the face of the earth or exists in creation except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in charge of its provisions. Doesn't mean that we get lazy. Doesn't mean that we don't work hard. Remember the second hikam, tajreed, pulling away. No, we have to work hard for dunya. And if you pay attention, usually when I read this hikam, people get really uber sensitive because it's not saying don't work hard for dunya. It's saying if I work hard for dunya while I neglect the hereafter, that's the problem. But what if we said this? اجتهادك فيما ضمن لك واجتهادك فيما طلب منك. You work hard for dunya and you work hard for akhirah. You work hard for what's guaranteed for you and you work hard for the akhirah. What does he mean by not using the word ضمن لك? The hereafter isn't guaranteed for you. Ya Allah. He means you got to work for Jannah. Jannah ain't guaranteed for you. You have to push for it. So just as we work hard for dunya and to achieve the fruits of dunya, we should couple that with working hard for the hereafter. وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this object which is worthy of competition, compete for it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتِلْكَ الْجَنَّةُ الَّتِي أُورِثْتُمُوهَا بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Allah said, this is the Jannah which you've inherited because Allah has blessed and accepted what you've done. what you've done. Remember the first hikam, don't get it confused. So what this hikam is teaching us is priorities. Number one, if I'm working hard for dunya and neglecting akhirah, that's a sign of my short-sightedness. What if I neglect dunya and work hard for the akhirah? Also, that's a sign of short-sightedness. What we want is اجتهادك فيما ضمن لك واجتهادك فيما طلب منك. We want both. And he says طلب منك because what he means is the halal and the haram. Do I exert effort to guard my prayers, to protect my worship, to observe the khair and to stay away from evil? So here we learn something from this hikam, inshallah ta'ala. اجتهادك فيما ضمن لك وتقصيرك فيما طلب منك دليل انتماصي البصيرة منك. He's a sign of your blindness. Is that we have to have priorities. And we should focus on our locus of control by the grace of Allah. Allah has granted us a locus of control in our dunya, in our deen. Let's work on that. Let's make that work to the best of its ability. Allah says, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِكُمْ نَارًا. Save yourself and your family from hell. Start there. Oftentimes we want to go outside of our locus of control. That's delusion. But what we want to do is focus on what we've been commanded and focus on our dunya around us. For example, building personal wealth and power, not in a way that leads to opulence, but that allows me to protect my family and to get my family, for example, access to good education, religious education. All that, ضمن لك اجتهادك فيها. At the same time, I'm doing that, but not in a way that sacrifices my akhirah. So the point of this hikam is, number one is, how can I analyze myself? What am I working for? What am I not working for? So it leads to the idea of introspection, muhasaba. And number two is, what are my priorities? And number three is balance. Sidi Ahmed Zaruq, we're going to teach this book in the future. He said, تقديم الأهم على المهم شأن الصادقين في كل شيء. Putting priority in what's really important over what's secondarily important is the sign of the righteous in everything. So this hikam, اجتهادك فيما ضمن لك. You working hard for what's been guaranteed for you. وتقصيرك فيما طلب منك. And you neglecting what has been commanded of you. دليل is an evidence انتماصي of the blindness بصيرتي of your foresight, your spiritual foresight make from you. بارك الله فيكم وجزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.